Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mystery Sports Podcast. This weekend, and it's not even the weekend yet, and we've had a lot of sporting action. So, in today's video, we'll be doing reaction of India under wrong side. India's under 19s winning the World Cup against England. Also, last night we had MVG. Is he back? Winning the first night of the Premier League in Newcastle, and we'll look ahead to Manchester United's visit to Spurs' visit to Manchester United and City's visit to to Anfield against Liverpool, which is on Sunday 4:30. So if we get into it straight away, I will share my screen for you in terms of getting up the cricket scores in terms of the in India absolutely battering England, should we say? Because I think that's the state. Is it shared? I don't know if it's shared. Please tell me if it's shared. Someone in the chat. So yeah, so if I just share the screen there, hopefully you guys see it. Yeah, so you guys can see it. So as the result obviously says that India under 19s win by 100 runs, and 411 for 9. After 50 overs, and then England getting bowled out for 311 after 40 overs. It was the only word you can put for it is that it was a battering. It was an absolute slaughter for what India did on England. And if we just look down here into the India stats and stuff, I for the life of me I cannot pronounce his name. The guy second on the list, beginning with an S. 175 off 8. Strike rate 218.75. That's fantastic. That's stuff that you dream of, isn't it? In a final, I know obviously it's not the real one in terms of like it's the official first team, but to do it in under 18 tournaments, and to get 175 in a final is just absolutely fantastic. And that's probably what helped India produce that mammoth score for England to chase. And when you have something like that in 50 overs, it's very, very difficult to do, to score over 400 runs. Like England 311, that could give you a good shout in a regular match. In the ODI after 50 overs. But India just showed another level of class, and you could probably see there that the in the difference between the Indian academy and the English academy. It's just one of those things. India are always going to be prioritizing cricket more than any other sport. Hockey arguably up there with them, but it was an absolute slaughtering from India. And you look at who's Ben Mays, who's England's bright spark in terms of in terms of the tournament. Getting 45 there. Rue as well probably should have done a little bit better. 31 off 18 is decent. Honorable mention to Dowkins. I don't know how you pronounce, but 66. It was helping in England on the way, and Falconer getting 115 off 67. Balls is great for him. And at a point, England looked like they were going to get back into it. There were only 115 runs with one wicket remaining, but Falconer and I think it was Minto who kind of established a little bit of hope for England. But just to go back to that that 175, that was the game changer for India, and that's what technically, well, that what's won them the World Cup. And it's it's good reading for India fans. It's good reading for England, because you're like, look, we've got quite a few promising players there, but India just showed that class. And 411 runs. As I said before, it's just an absolute slaughtering, and it's a huge run chase for anyone to kind of get. And in terms of the darts, so obviously yesterday was the night that kicked off the new Premier League season of darts. The first night, obviously in Newcastle, Littler versus Van Veen, the traditional, um, how do you say it? The traditional match, like the World Championship final, gets repeated on the first night of the of the Premier League, and Van Veen obviously beating Littler 6-5, I think it was, or 6-4. Van Veen just showed a bit like he could beat Littler, and we have seen that in the past in the youth championships and things like that. Littler wasn't on night, wasn't on his game, so it's only night one. It's not like Littler's out of it. It's whoever finishes in the top 4, you go to a playoff into the final at the O2 on night 17. No, 18 should I say, because as Michael Van Gerwen says, I'm going to be there at the final, and that's the 18th night of the O2. We had Johnny Clayton obviously beaten, and Johnny Clayton beaten by, um, no, what am I talking about? Yeah, Johnny Clayton beating Josh Rock 6-2. See, that was good for Johnny Clayton to obviously get there. Then Humphreys beating Gezi Price, and then Van Gerwen beating Bunting. Then we go into the semi-finals. Obviously, Van Veen getting through to there, and Van Gerwen beating Humphreys. Then the final, a all Dutch final, and Van Gerwen obviously won. And we could see in that night that Van Gerwen looked at his best. Is he back? That is the question. I think for Van Gerwen, he's got to keep doing it on a consistent basis in the other tournaments. Again, in next week, in not Amsterdam, in Netherlands, um, Van Gerwen's he's got to get to the final at least to think he's back. The old MVG is back, but it's a long way. We've still got 16 more nights to go, and coming to the, I think it's very hard to predict who will get that top four. We'd expect the two Lukes to get there. You'd probably expect Van Gerwen to get there, and that fourth spot is very difficult, because all the players like Van Veen, Gezi Price, Johnny Clayton, Josh Rock, they're all good players. They're all fantastic players, and they're not in the Premier League for no reason. So it's a tough one. We just don't know what will happen, and hopefully as we get on, and we'll see when it comes to reactions and things. And if you guys stay tuned in, I'll um, go through all the process and show the league table and things like that. Because at the moment, obviously, it's Van Gerwen on top, and the rest of them are all kind of mixed. It's not a true reflection of the darts from all the other players. And then if we go on to the United game, so United play. So you can see the Premier League table there. So United play Spurs. So fourth place United, high and flying Michael Carrick's side. And I think this game will be a very, very true reflection of where Manchester United are. I would argue that the Fulham game is as well, but I think it could. What I was when I was researching about this game and stuff, I saw on like TikTok and other places as well. It's just that one thing that Sir Alex Ferguson said. I think it was an interview with Gary Neville, and Sir Alex Ferguson basically said that if you're playing for Manchester United and it's the last 15 minutes of the game, don't give up. What have you got to lose? When you're at home, you might be 1-0 down. Stick 3 players in the box because the opposition team have got to react. And if you can get a goal and it's 1-1, Old Trafford's going to be behind you. The crowd are going to be behind you, and that second goal might come. And that's what I think Michael Carrick's reinstalled in these players. That if we go like the Arsenal game and Fulham game, it might be 2-2. We go and attack. We go and win this game of football. That's what football's about. Football's about winning points and winning games and scoring more goals than the opposition. And I think we've seen that in the Arsenal game where Cunha scores. We've seen it in the Fulham game where Shesko scores at the end at the Stretford end. My God, what it would do for his confidence, that scoring the winner at the Stretford end for Shesko. And this is what I think that Man United's all about, the DNA of Manchester United. Obviously, today, February the 6th, very emotional day for United supporters, with it being the anniversary of the Munich air disaster. God rest those players who obviously passed away. It's tragic. But, you know, that kind of DNA hopefully is coming back to United. And this Spurs game, 12:30 tomorrow, if United can beat Spurs, and Villa lose to Bournemouth, which will be a tough game for Villa. United put that put the difference to Villa by 2 points. And we're right in there for third place, and we're right in there for Champions League. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens there. In terms of what I think will happen on the lineups, so if I just go on to here, well, you'll be able to see that. Yep, you guys can. So this is what I've gone for as my lineup. So we've got Lamans in there, always stays there. Luke, it's the same back four. It's basically the same team as against Fulham. There's arguments there. Do you put Shesko in and things like that with great? He's obviously scored and things like that. But I just don't think you can change a winning team. I think Maguire and Martinez look solid at the back, and we don't change that. Shaw he's our only left back at the moment in time. There's an argument for putting Mazraoui in for Delo. I wouldn't do that just because I think Delo's had a decent-ish three or four games now. Casemiro Mainu looks solid. Bruno, in the last 10 Premier League games. You know, 3 goals and 10 assists. You know, he's on 12 assists, and, everyone's saying, "Will he beat the Premier League record in assists and 20 from De Bruyne?" I think he will. With 14 games left, he's on 12. I think there's certain games where it's like against Tottenham, he could get 2 assists, and I think Bruno Fernandes definitely has the ability, no doubt about that, to go get that record, and I think he'll be vital again. He will be vital against Spurs for creating chances. Cunha, we know he's class. Ahmad, we know he's class. I'm hoping for a goal for Ahmad. I think he needs a goal. And Buemo, he's got to do what he's doing, running out the back line, making a nuisance of himself to the likes of Van de Ven and Romero, and just basically cause chaos. And I think that's what United need to do. In terms of my score prediction, I'm going to go for a United win. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Manchester United. I think we'll score first. I think Tottenham will grow into the game. They will get a goal. But I think United, and that mentality that I keep talking about, is that we'll never give up. And that's Michael Carrick's mindset. I think we go and score 2 extra goals and win 3-1. Goal scorers, I'm going to go for Bruno Fernandes and Buemo, and I'm gonna go for Casemiro. I think Casemiro's gonna score again, probably from another set piece. I don't know why this line is there. It might be from the angle of the light. I don't know if I can change that. I'll have a look into that. But yeah, sorry about that. But just going back to the goal scorers, I think Bruno looks dangerous, and Buemo's always dangerous, and the Casemiro's an aerial threat, and I think we can utilise that from corners or free kicks like we did against Fulham. In terms of what I wanna see from Ahmad, because I was saying he needs a goal and stuff. If Ahmad just keeps running at the defenders, I think Spurs aren't good defensively. Look at that City game; they conceded 2 in the first half, and they're not the Spurs. Is quite a big divide there. So I'm hoping that Ahmad and Cunha need to keep running at the channels and backs on pinning them back into their own half and penalty area, and United need to utilize that and go and score 3 goals and get that 4th win in a row. And that guy, the United strand, he's only one haircut off. He's only one win off. Hopefully, that's what we're saying tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Match will go to. It's a tough one, but I think you can always say Bruno Fernandes. I think I'm going to go man of the match, Kobbie Mainoo. I think he'll have a very, very crucial part of for United, winning that ball, getting the ball forward, sustaining attacks especially. So I'm gonna go Kobbie Mainoo, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Fernandes get it again and how useful he is. And then probably the game of the weekend. The game of the weekend is Arsenal versus Liverpool. Not Arsenal versus Liverpool. City versus Liverpool. Is the screen shared? I don't know. Please tell me it is. Yeah. So the game weekend is City versus Liverpool. There's no doubt about that. 4:30 kickoff Sunday. This game could really, really cement the title race. If Liverpool go and beat City, Arsenal beat who do Arsenal play? Who do Arsenal play? Arsenal play Sunderland at the Emirates. So let's say I think there's a very, very strong chance that Arsenal go and win the league from that position. Um, but I think the game will be tight. I don't think either side will come out explosive. I think it'll be quite defensive between the players. I think it'll be a very strategic game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw City win. But with it being at Anfield, with Liverpool looking like they're some sort of form, only that one loss to Bournemouth there, that 4-1 win against Newcastle at home. Me personally, I'm gonna go with a 1-0 win to Liverpool. I think it'll be a very cagey affair. It'll be tight. Ruben Diaz, as Pep Guardiola said, is back. So I think City will be better defensively with Diaz and Gay. So I'm gonna go just a 1-0 win to Liverpool, and I think the goal scorer will be Hugo Ekitike. Brilliant since Liverpool have brought him in the summer. I think, though, in terms of overall in this game, as I mentioned, the title race, it could also define a top 4 race. If City do go and beat Liverpool, which I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that happen, I think if United and Chelsea both win, it gives a gap between themselves and Liverpool, and that could really hurt Liverpool in terms of the results, like the draw against Fulham, the draw against Burnley, the loss against Bournemouth. So it's like I think Liverpool will find it hard to get back into the race, top four race. However, the inconsistencies of Chelsea and United and Villa, we have to put Villa in there now. I think they could easily get back into it. But it will be an entertaining weekend of football. We've got WSL action, we've got Premier League, we've got obviously darts has happened, with the cricket's happened, and soon the T20 World Cup for cricket will be happening. So it's always there's so much sport going on this weekend, and it'll be very entertaining to see what happens. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel, give a like on the video, and share to all your family and friends. And stay tuned in for tomorrow. I will be doing my match reaction to Manchester United's game against Spurs, probably about 4 o'clock when I do that. Might be before. But thank you all for watching. Catch you on in a bit.